Greetings everybody! I had a few requests in the near past of making a video introducing all of my characters and their story. This is it, I've decided to do it. It will be a raw recording with very minimal editing and post-processing. I hope it will turn out fun. It's probably gonna be a little bit longer than what I was expecting because I have 16 characters and quite a lot of stories to tell behind their names, creations, experience, reasons why I have them, and how I played them. This is my very first video recorded at 1080p resolution with 60 frames per second. I hope to hear your recommendation, opinion and suggestion whether this is better or for whatever reason you prefer 1440p resolution at 30 frames per second. I've played in 3 different periods. My early period, the Republic era, then the Middle Ages, where I had mixed olds because I wanted to experience everything that I hadn't experienced. This happened roughly a little bit before and a little bit after 2.0 and the HUT expansion. And the modern days, where I was already owning established Twitch channel and a relatively popular YouTube channel, at least for my own standards. Of course, it's not popular enough to call it a big channel, not at all. I generally post from time to time screenshots and pictures in different collections on my Twitter and Facebook, and happily you all respond to them and you seem to enjoy them. I'm gonna start with the characters one by one. I'll tell you a little bit about each one and the reason I have them. First one, my first character, of course, is VULKK. This is my first character in the released game. I created him on day 1 on the origin server that doesn't exist anymore. It was called Frostclaw. About 5-6 months after the release, the first server merge happened and we were all forced to move automatically to the Nightmare Lands, which was at this point of time the biggest PvE server in Europe, English speaking. The second merge brought us to the Red Eclipse, and both Frostclaw and Nightmare Lands don't exist anymore as servers. You might see their names in the Conquest tab from time to time, from older guilds that were created there. VULKK was originally called Alex because I was between the first 20 and 30 people to ever land on the origin server when the game was released on the 7 days prior the launch date early access. I played the game a little bit before the release in a few beta events, and my very first experience was with Trooper. I loved the Trooper. I decided to go for a Trooper because I didn't want to have a glow stick in my hand. I played Star Wars Galaxies for quite some time before that and I was a little bit tired of Jedi. However, some invisible force forced me to create a Sentinel on day 1 and I stick with it. I still love it. It's my favorite playstyle character, my favorite hero of all of mine, and I keep it as my main. Originally he was called Alex. With the first merge I was forced to rename and I decided to call it Vulchu, which is a dolly name for wolf, translated from English to Bulgarian. But because of the way I typed it, you can see that in some of my old screenshots on my Facebook if you like. Many people from English speaking countries actually was reading that as VULKK, and that was extremely annoying to me. So happily the second merge allowed me to do another rename, and ever since then this guy is called VULKK with a double K because I enjoy the double K. I didn't even check if I can call it VULKK with 1K. I like the double K in the end, it's kind of a standard. He's always been with this hairstyle. It's not completely bald, it's how I just tend to keep my haircut in my real life. He's a body type 3 and for a very long time now, I can't exactly remember when, but again I have a screenshot on my Facebook page when that happened. He's been wearing this black dyed life day robe, chest piece and leg piece, which makes him my lightsaber monk. I enjoy the class. I know all 3 specs, even though I admit I don't know them all equally, with combat and watchman being my favorites. I play them everywhere and all the time, and almost never lately, or actually let's call it very rarely, I play the 3rd spec. But after 3.0 I will be learning it and mastering it to perfection, because it's considered to become the most overpowered and the most useful one overall. In my first days I was only playing Republic with an old guild. We met in Star Wars Galaxies, we played together for years, we became very good and close friends. Unfortunately, a few months after release they quickly started getting bored with the game and left one by one. In the spread of a month maybe, all my friends left. I was forced to look for another guild, where the remaining group of my origin guild moved and continued playing. My second character was this guy. You will notice, hopefully, or if you don't, I'll tell you that this is Rakata outfit. Yes, it is original Rakata gear that doesn't exist in the game anymore. I also have the Rakata helmet, which thankfully is hidden because it looks ridiculous. This is the guy who I created as my first and main ult very soon after I leveled up to 50 with VULKK, who was back then called Alex. We needed a second healer in the team, and I was amongst the first people to reach level 50 in our group, so I decided to go for a healer. And back then the Scoundrel was ridiculously overpowered in PvP as DPS. I can't really remember if it was that overpowered as healer. I didn't enjoy the idea of a healing commando with that green beam, and I went for the awesomely overpowered AoE heal for the Sage. Olek was inspired from Lekar, which is healer in Bulgarian, and the double K is taken directly from VULKK. I like the idea at this point. I stopped playing my Sage about a month or 2 months before 2.0 and Rise of the Hutt Cartel, because I got a little bit bored. Back then the healing mechanics of the Sage were all involving hitting 2 or maximum of 3 buttons most of the time, and it was really not that much fun. Later on I've created Kukla, who was called Lady, with a different than Lady proper spelling, on my origin server, and I leveled up as a healer and as DPS, but I'll tell you a little bit more after I went a little bit ahead, so let me roll back. Cross, I really enjoyed Commando in beta. I made a mistake of creating Sentinel in the last weekend of beta, which was the last 2-3 days before they closed up the beta servers. And from this point on, I just fell in love with the Sentinel. So Commando was awesome. They were heavy, they were badass, they had insanely huge and awesome looking weapon. Even though in beta we couldn't see all the awesome looking armors because we were low level, we had no money, no ults to craft anything. There wasn't pretty much a point of doing that, and we didn't have too much time to waste on this. At least I decided not to. Cross was originally called Cro, with C-R-O. This is the name as it is spelled in one of my childhood favorite animated TV series, Cro the Neanderthal. I can't remember exactly the original title of this TV series, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I've always played Cross as Gunnery Commando while leveling, and after that, originally for the first 2, 3, 4 months of the game, I was completely refusing to learn and master any dot spec in the game, especially on my Sentinel. At this point I was only playing combat, and when I started Cross, I was told, and I did a little bit of research, that the right tree involves a lot of dotting, and I decided to go for the middle one. Of course, we know what happened. The middle one got nerfed to hell with a few patches in the future, but that's a different story. The next one is Kukla. Kukla in Bulgarian means doll. She was called Lady, but I can't remember why I decided to rename her. The spelling of Lady was unique and different, and I don't remember having issues with that. I just decided for some reason to rename her probably. Or maybe it was taken, God knows. She was the replacement of Lek. After I got bored with Lek, I've decided to go for a different healer, and I still didn't like the idea of a heavy armored commando healing. I joined him as DPS. So I made up the Scoundrel. I had extremely difficult times and many issues leveling up because healing was slow and boring, and I didn't enjoy the mechanics of the DPS Scoundrel. I know it's good, I know many of you love it, it's just not my playstyle, and thank God we have different classes so we can pick which one we like and which don't. There isn't too much to tell about my healer. She's still my favorite healing class. I still don't have a commando healer, and I haven't played Lek for ages. You saw the gear, obviously. I just log from time to time and keep him active. The next one will be my tank. Yeah, I do have a tank. Those of you who know me for long enough, you know I'm not a tanking person. I've created Ida, who's always being called Ida, back in my first guild days, just about a month maybe, or two, after Lost Island was released. I hope you remember how hard, enjoyable and challenging Lost Island hard mode Flashpoint was in the beginning. I enjoyed all the mechanics, and after farming it multiple times from healing perspective and DPS perspective, I was playing my Sage as a healer and Sentinel as DPS. I can't remember if I played cross there. I wanted to see the tanking mechanics because the third boss most of all, and the second one, the first one not so much. But the third boss, Dr. Lorik, was awesome, fun to tank. That's the only and single purpose why I created my tank. I went for the Shadow because I wanted to experience the stealth element in this game. And yes, I know I played Kukla before my Shadow, but it was different. I leveled up with the tanking tree, the left one, but I geared up with DPS modes, and I did the same with my companions. I was in love with the way Nadia was behaving, of course not with the companion herself. That was metaphorically speaking. I couldn't wait to get her because a friend of mine reached level 50 on his first character, and he kept telling me how awesomely overpowered Nadia is as a companion for a tanking Shadow. He kind of inspired me to go for the Shadow tank class. My other choice was a Guardian, but I really didn't want. And the Vanguard tanking class was really not my type of class. I'll tell you more about that when I get to my bounty hunters. The first Imperial character I created is Skorx. He was always named Skorx. Originally he was a Sith pure blood, and I believe I have plenty of screenshots. I should probably share some of them on my Facebook page, and I hope you will go and visit it. His story is simple. I wanted to have a mirror class and experience the Sith Warrior story, which I was told was awesome, and now yes, I can confirm that after playing all the stories in the game. I love the Sith Warrior the most. It's good throughout all the chapters. It's entertaining, the choices make you believe they are meaningful, and the outcome of every cutscene is really funny, even if you play it differently. I have played most of them differently because I have 2 more orders. More on that later. Skorx looked ridiculously fun in the beginning because I chose kind of the wrong outfit. Sith pure blood with weird helmet and even more weird looking chest piece that made him like a funny copy of Malgus. Tiha was my mirror class for my Scoundrel. I created her a lot later than all my other characters. These here, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 6, maybe these 5 or 4, never mind, these 6, let's call them 6, are my old school characters. I've created them in the first months of the game, and most of them I keep playing even today. From here now on we get to, let's call that the middle age or the midterms, after the HUT expansion went live. Tiha was created at some point, I believe, during early 2013. She was always a DPS Scoundrel, and I think I played her with middle DPS 3 most of the time, at least, never as a healer. I never leveled up as a healer after the horrible experience I've had with Lek and Kukla. It's just not my favorite thing. I know it's enjoyable, especially if you have a player to go with you who's a DPS, but all the DPS companions and the tanking companions didn't make the gameplay fun. The next one is Skrit. By the way, Tiha means silent or quiet in Bulgarian. Skorks doesn't have a meaning. Ida is the name of my dog. Skrit in translation means hidden or hiding. He's always been a cheese, he's always been a small guy. This is the smallest person I've ever created, I believe. I can't remember, but I think that's body type 2. He was playing the through Imperial agent. He didn't care who he's killing or hurting. He only wanted to finish his job and do it properly. I've enjoyed going through the story a lot. And Tiha still hasn't finished her main class story, by the way. I leveled up to have another ult and a healing class when I moved to play the Imperial side. She was mid-level for a very long time. When I joined to play the Imperial side, I finished her leveling and started healing endgame with her. And here we come to the newest. This one is naked. I created Posital, which means guardian in translation, and crafty, which doesn't mean anything besides crafter. I created Posital and crafty with the single purpose of having 2 more ults for missions, gathering resources. I left them at level 25 for more than 1 year probably, and as you see, Posital never leveled up further than this. I was doing just occasional Warzone on both of them without leveling. That was on purpose. Posital is still the guild master of Solstice. I don't play that guy. The guild is a ghost town today, but you never know, one day I may need it again and the old team may decide to rejoin, and I would like the guild name to be active for that moment. At some point I decided to level up for the Guardian DPS experience. This was, I believe, around 2.4. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the patch when they started removing RNG from the game, and Guardian DPS class was one of the first to get fixed. And since they became so overpowered, of course I decided it was time to learn and see what the fuss is all about. I never played him in endgame. I didn't do too much PvP on him, so no, being flavor of the month wasn't the main reason why I leveled up the guy to 55. Zviar. I don't play this guy. I leveled up to about level 30 or so normally, and then during the special 12 times class story experience I finished him to 55. He is a DPS assassin, mainly playing the right tree, which was called Deception, and depending on when you're watching the video, Deception Assassin may not exist anymore in the game. He is the leader of the old version Imperial Guild of Solstice. It's called... God forbid, I can't remember what it's called. I guess that's not really important. The guild has like 10-15 characters, all of them are olds and pretty much all of them are inactive, but I want to keep the name. And most of you, because my channel on Twitch was very active at this point, and my YouTube channel was already growing, most of you probably and hopefully know about these new characters: SWTOR, Contra, Duvka, Shishko and Jarbinks. SWTOR was my second Marauder and I wanted to be the complete badass. The first time I played my Marauder Skorks, I went with light decisions. Not light side decisions, but lighter in terms of sacrificing and killing everything around me. I wanted to be the ultimate evil when I created the character, but then I decided to actually change the playstyle and do exactly the opposite of what Skorks was doing. And then of course at some point it all mixed up together. So basically the name SWTOR doesn't mean that I played him as evil as the game would allow me. I leveled up most of this character on stream, and I have a lot of highlights from the leveling process. I did a lot of PV and PvP. And if you're interested, there is a playlist on my YouTube channel with most of this process. The second reason was for creating this Marauder, because there were changes happening to combat, to Carnage and Annihilation through the months and the years since I leveled up Skorks and before that VULKK, and I wanted to experience the leveling process again with these changes. The next one is Contra. Contra is a name taken, or favorite name of mine, of one old console game called Contra with a C. I hope some of you remember it. There was pretty much nothing special about him, and that's why I actually leave these 4 or 5 characters in the last minutes of the video, because I don't expect many of you would reach this point. I know the analytics and I know how YouTube behavior affects longer video durations and watch times. Let's go quickly over them to wrap up the video. Contra is my first bounty hunter. I've decided to play Power Tech because I had already played Trooper and I wanted to see something different. I choose Power Tech because I was astonished by the fire animations on the Pyro tree. That's what I leveled up with. It turns out to be not my favorite spec. It was extremely overpowered by the time I created and finished that character. Throughout all the leveling, Pyrotech was already overpowered spec. VULKK was the next one I created, who actually looks awesome right now because I've been leveling him a couple days before I started this video, and I've got awesome new shiny armor set from the Bounty Hunter vendor. VULKK means chewing gum in Bulgarian. Yes, don't laugh at me. I have no idea why I created the guy with this name. I was just probably in a weird mood. He was created with the single purpose of experiencing the middle tree for the mercenary, and I still haven't finished him because it turns out I didn't have enough time as I was planning during the 12 time XP event. There might be a few levels before it ends because I'm recording this on the Sunday 2 days before 3.0 drops. Hopefully on the live servers. Shishko is my first body type 4 character. It was very recently created. I played all the class story and nothing else during the 12 time XP event. Everything was streamed. We all had a lot of fun. From the activeness and the chat, I could tell that you guys are having a lot of fun with the decisions and the discussions and everything. He looks and he played out as a complete badass. Not a dark trooper as I called the series, because he wasn't always choosing necessarily the dark side options in the cutscenes and the dialogues, but he was always playing the jerk, the guy who opposes everything and everybody else, the guy who refuses to obey orders, and the guy who always says screw you. He's my first and only body type 4 character, and in Bulgarian Shishko means fatty, or the fat guy, or the cute fat one, something like this. He looks ridiculous. Yes, this is the first time I experimented heavily with the character creation. He's probably my first male with a hair. Pretty much all the other guys have no hair. It's not because I wanted them to look like me. I cut my hair very short. I didn't like the hairstyles, and I still don't have a hairstyle for a male character in the game that I actually like and enjoy. That's why I've created all of them. Well, except for that, okay, that's not human. But you see, they're all pretty much hairless. The last one is Jar Binks. I hope that most, if not all of you, remember how he was created. I won't tell too much because I have a special video about his creation, exactly when and how he was created. How we came up with the name, as by we I mean we all together. It was on stream and a lot of you guys joined to help me pick the name. The series has a special playlist on my YouTube channel. It's called Sid Smuggler, and it's following all his adventures through the class quest story, nothing else, with commentaries of course, with laughs, with stupid mistakes from time to time, and everything that's bound to happen during unedited and uncut Twitch live experience. these are all my characters. I hope you enjoyed the video, and there is probably some funny facts that I wanted to mention about some of those guys and I probably forgot. I want to thank you if you happened to sit through all of this talking. I hope it was enjoyable, and I can't wait to see you again back on my Twitch and YouTube, as well as on my Twitter and Facebook social networks. Bye bye.